Welcome to Hug Nation. It is a joy, a treat, such a gift to share this recalibration moment with you. Before we get started, let's just take a moment to get present and sink into the now and become aware of all the things to experience in the now. You may have a thought. You may have a reminder, something you don't want, and that's okay. Experience that from the now as a thought, as an observer of the thought, and then try to let it go and return to the things that you actually experience in the now, not the thoughts that pull you into a story of past or future, but what exactly is experienced in the now. How does your body feel? Can you feel tingling in your fingers? Can you feel your seat firmly planted in the chair? Can you feel places in your body where skin touches skin or other textures? What a rich experience life can be when we just take inventory of all the things happening in every moment. Now pay attention to the sounds. Maybe there's music or machinery or voices, and try just to hear the sound of them, not the story. Don't try to picture it and make sense of it and understand where it came from or what they're doing. Just notice the sound. Notice the differences. And we do this practice so that we can start to make the distinction between what is being experienced in the now and what is a thought that we allow ourselves into and then experience feelings, emotions based on that thought, based on that story. And when we can start to make that distinction, we can have some control over our thoughts and not be so ruled by when thoughts make us suffer. And we can allow ourselves and steer our mind in the direction of thoughts that bring us joy and peace. And with further practice of that stillness, of that simply witness mind, that awareness, that quiet, we access or allow for access for non-mind, deep, heart-centered steering, direction, intuition. But that intuition, that heart wisdom of ours, is a very quiet voice. And our mind demands attention. Wants to pull us into the story, pull us into the worry, pull us into... And so if we don't take away the microphone from mind, heart will never be heard. And so we practice this. We practice what life feels like when mind is not speaking. When we are simply open and aware and receiving. Becoming aware of the richness of sensation and the depth of the gifts of consciousness. Thank you, universe, for all of this. Amen. Oh, welcome. Welcome. So, spend a little bit longer in the meditation today. We do that meditation before every Hug Nation because it is so hard to stay in the now. And it is so important not to stay in the now, but to have some control over that and not to be constantly in state of stories and worry and stress. Because if we don't discipline our minds, we will spend all of our time worried about things that have not happened. We will create potential futures and then experience the pain of them. worry yourself sick. It happens all the time. And more and more, one of the joys of aging is that you hopefully get more and more experiences where you realize that, oh, I get now what that means. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. So many times I was worried about something happening and it didn't happen. And yet I spent all that time and pain and suffering and worry and feeling this outcome that never happened. And so hopefully over time you start to go, wait, okay, I'm being silly. That's what wisdom is, that awareness. And so this weekend, I just had this brief moment of snapping back into now awareness that was so significant. I had a very full. I guess life is very full right now. So I'm in the process of moving out of my San Diego home. So I'm going through all my stuff and my boxes and papers and I mean there's cabinets that I don't think I've opened since I moved in. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, so this is kitchen stuff. I guess that goes into storage since it's all dusty and I haven't cooked for a long time. And so I'm going through all this moving, and it's a fairly significant process for me. And I'm trying to plan towards Burning Man. And it's a very intense time at work. And I'm also in a very amazing and rich romantic relationship. And so all of these things are happening. And truthfully, there were times this weekend when I was like stressed. Truthfully, like I'm admitting it, I was stressed. I get stressed all the time. That's what we do. But I had a number of moments, but one that I'm thinking of in particular where I was lying in bed with my beloved, and there was so much going on, and my head was like, and I had this, it was like, whoa, come to now. Because here I am in the magical confines of my lover's bed. She's right there, and I reach my hand over, and I feel the softness of her skin, and I can smell her skin, and it's suddenly like, okay, now. And without that recalibration, without that reminder, without the practice that we do here every week, I think that I would have missed the heaven of that moment. I would have spent the entire time rolling around in bed in the stories of the stresses, of the things that I'm worried about might happen, of all the to-dos and all the undones and and yet none of that was real. The only thing real was the scenario that for most of my adolescent life, I would have, I don't know, at the time I probably would have said I would have given my left nut. I so wanted someone to hold and someone to share a bed with and a life with and someone to kiss and all these things. And here, this is all that I have in the now, and yet I am missing it. I'm overwhelmingly blessed in this moment, and yet before I turned it around, I felt tortured. I was in a prison of thought, of worry. And a number of things this weekend kind of remind me of that challenge and that danger. That if you get caught up in a story, you can find yourself never happy. I mean, it's kind of the story of our culture, is that we're always caught in this like, oh, I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more. I have a dear friend who has started a business and really made some amazing, created quite a an enterprise, and in a very short amount of time created something that is very admirable. And yet when we talked this weekend, they were almost panicked, and they were feeling like there's just so much, that there's just so far to go before that they can relax and they feel like they've actually succeeded. And I was like, well, what does success look like? Because from one perspective, you've built a brand, you've got a reputation that's getting better and better, you've got staff, you've got, you're helping people leave your business, lit up. I mean, check as far as what's the dream. You're living the dream. You're living in a beautiful place. Everything is going right. And yet, because of the story, and what even worse is because of an uncertain finish line, the now is not being enjoyed. My friend Dimitri once phrased it in a way that, we're all kind of floating out in the ocean, and so most of our lives we spent like panicking, like trying to paddle to the shore. I gotta get to the shore. And it isn't until you go, wait a minute, there's no shore, that you can just relax and float and notice the water and appreciate the sea life. Because a finish line is like a prison sentence. Anything that is making you feel like, I'll be happy when I get that, I'll be calm when I get that, I'll be peaceful when I get that, I'll love myself when I get there, there is not a real destination. There is an ego trap. You may have something specific in your head, maybe, but the problem is that so many people that do that, you say, oh, once I get $1 million in the bank, then I'll be totally relaxed. But by that time, you've been so into business and doing this, and you have $1 million in the bank, you're like, $1 million isn't what it used to be. And I've kind of had that struggle working through that in my current path. So I'm working harder and getting paid better than I think I ever have. And I'm a pretty frugal person. Everything I'm wearing right now is from a thrift store, except for my extravagance in buying pink fur and Burning Man supplies. I'm pretty frugal. So I have some savings, and before I took this job, I was living off that savings, living the luxury of being able to write and do part-time work. One of the reasons why I took this job and did other part-time work, even though in my head and with my life coach I said, we've got this long to work on the book, I still took a job before that, because this voice in my head is like, you don't have enough. Well, what's enough? Do I have to say, okay, I'm going to live till I'm 90 and then figure out what do I need a month till I'm 90 and earn that much money? That seems crazy. But maybe that is the number. Or maybe you say, okay, give me a 6-month buffer. Or maybe it means no debt. But I realized that without some concrete number, I was just trying to increase my cushion. And maybe that's a very American thing to do. But when I go back to the question of well, what if I died tomorrow or at the end of the year? Are there things that I'm not doing that I would do? And where in the equation does that balance out? The significant thing right now that I'm thinking about is because I'm looking for a place to live in Ventura. And I'm going from the spectrum of renting a room on the low cost to getting my own place by myself at the high cost. And even though I'm only here, 4 nights a week, so it's okay, clearly I would be more comfortable getting my own place. I have some problem is also because like if I want to get my own place, it would be somewhat nicer. So there's a cost. Anyway, the point is higher cost, lower cost, more comfort and peace, lower comfort and peace. Just the fact of living with roommates. And so I can afford both right now. If I get the room, I'm saving more for this future time when I can write and be a philosopher and not worry about income. And so I play this game. Like, well, is that a crazy game? Should I just assume that? I mean, nothing in my life has shown itself to me that I will need. If I get to a situation where I need resources, I've been able to find them. I've been able. I don't mean find like a pot of gold. I mean find work, or find an avenue that turns into work. And so in some ways, this I don't know what is the most spiritual path right now. Is it more spiritual to save as much as I can for this future chapter, or should I spend? I guess it's a balance of how joyful can I be while being frugal, and if that joy is in jeopardy, then I need to readjust the equation. Maybe that's a long-winded way to kind of explore that idea of now versus future and stress versus, I like how Eckhart Tolle talks about when he's questioned, people said, dude, well, you can't just live in the now, what about the rent? What about the mortgage? It's like, and he says, well, most people live in the future and past. They live in their thoughts and their stories, and every once in a while they experience the now. They come into the now. And he said, all I'm saying is that you just switch the ratio so that most of the time you live in the now, and then you visit the future. You visit the past. You get the information you need, and then act from the right thing to do in the moment. Which is probably why I don't have a 5-year plan or a 5-week plan. I just realized that Burning Man is less than 30 days away, and it's funny how things just sneak up on you when you're on a live in the now philosophy. Cliffy B just typed in the chat room, abundance is having what you need when you need it. I love it. There is being rich isn't about having stuff. It's about feeling like your needs are met. And if you live in a mansion and all you can think about is how the remodel on your second bathroom is taking too long and the contractor's screwing you, and the food that your chef is making is undersalted because your doctor did this, and you pay too much taxes because this is like, well, suddenly the amount in your bank account doesn't matter. You are suffering. You are poor. If you look upon your life and you see lack, it doesn't matter what the number is. Now, if you look upon your life and feel, wow, what an incredibly healthy body I have. What freedom I have. What a fine smell I have since I took a hot shower this morning. Whew, now that is rich. Well, let's. Michelle in Tahoe says, living in the present and being appreciative of all around you in the moment is so blissful. So let's sink into that bliss and share a hug. So wherever you are, grab yourselves by the shoulders. And take a little mental catalog of a few things that you're grateful for. Things about your life, about your freedom, and when I say freedom, maybe your head goes into a story about NSA and all the freedoms being eroded. For this moment, let's turn it around and just focus on the positive. There is a time for fighting darkness. Now let's think about the light. In this moment, we are free to experience one another in this vibration. We are free to shine our light brightly. We are free to have thoughts. We are free to sing if we want to. We are free to enjoy the sunset. We are free to create, make art. We are free to love with all that we've got, even when it's not reciprocated. Maybe especially when it's not reciprocated. We have so much to be grateful for. We are so rich. And as we feel our body, there are bits and pieces of science that help us understand how parts of the body work, but as a whole, it is a mystery, it is a miracle, it is magic. You cannot take a body apart and put it back together. Don't try that, just trust me. And so we live in this miracle, and as we recalibrate our baseline to that appreciation, we live in abundance. And from that abundance, we are in a perfect position to share our gifts with the world. And from that place of sharing our gifts, we not only are abundant, but we find ourselves in joy, in this selfish state of making ourselves blissful as we share whatever it is we have to share. Talents, attention, love. And it's a one-way effort. Nothing needs to be done on the other side. No show of appreciation, no show of gratitude, no fanfare or parade needs to be thrown for you. Simply doing that, sharing your joy, sharing your gifts, appreciating what you have, that is the reward. You are on the path of growth. You are on your way to realignment with your truth. You are allowing the divine light in you to shine. There is no greater gift. There is no greater reward. No parade, no fanfare, no trumpet sounds can exalt the state of being as much as knowledge and awareness that you are on your path to be being the greatest, most authentic you as possible. That is your gift to you, and that is your gift to the world. It's an honor to share this moment with you. It is an honor to be reflected, to know that there are other hearts and souls out there realigning, doing our parts to polish this grand, massive marble entity, sanding away at the sharp corners, each one doing our part to make the whole more beautiful, more vibrant, more loving. Let's take 3 breaths together. In through the nose. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the Love Warriors, Happy Hug Nation, thank you. I love you. Namaste.